Baruch Hashem, you're a bad Jew.
Shalom.
Exciting news, this episode is sponsored by Jewish Big Brothers and Big Sisters of LA. Check it out.
So when I hear that people are interested in signing up to be a big, I just want to go give them a hug and tell them it's the best choice you'll ever make. It's the best way to make an impact and to be with someone and trust the process. Know that Jewish Big Brothers, Big Sisters puts it together in a way that it makes an impact for everybody. And that connection for me is everything.
If I had to choose one word of what it was like to have a big, it would be awesome.
Just do it. Sign up for it. Everything that you're going to do is going to be more than you can imagine.
If you want to make an impact on a child's life, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of LA is accepting applications today. Go to jbbbsla.org. That is jbbbsla.org. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Bad Jew, the place where there is no such thing as a bad Jew. And guess what? I don't know if you heard, there's this little holiday. It's called Lamaka. Just kidding. It's called Hannukah. And yeah, it's. I know that you think it's Christmas. I know that the Jewish calendar lined up on this guy's birthday. But guess what? That's not what we're celebrating today. We're celebrating Hanukkah, baby. And with us today is Ari Lesser, hailing all the way from Cleveland. How are you today, Ari?
I'm doing awesome. So happy to be with you on this joyous holiday.
Absolutely. And, I'm excited to learn your story. And speaking of which, we have the 4-minute Bad Jew Challenge, the right of entry onto this podcast. Every guest does it. For those who listen, you know very well. Are you ready, Ari?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Excellent. Echad, Stein, Shlosh, Yalla.
My name is Ari. You know I'm a party Jew, Ashkenazi, but I still love a Sephardi Jew, a fast rapping Jew, that toe tapping Jew. I'ma get the whole crowd to start clapping Jew, a free thinking Jew, L'chaim drinking Jew, with the beard and hat like Abe Lincoln Jew, wearing a suit Jew, keeping kashrut Jew. Hashem's the only one I salute Jew. I'm a singing Jew, CD slinging Jew, one of the last few at the for bringing Jew. I'm that Chabad Jew, that loving God Jew, and some people might say I'm an odd Jew, a spin that dreidel Jew, a prenatal Jew, a my Ema never wore no shadal Jew. I'm a Semitic Jew, purebred genetic Jew. If I wronged you, I'm an apologetic Jew. I'm a bald chuva Jew, that kind of newer Jew, still trying to learn just how to do a Jew. An old soul Jew with self-control Jew. On Shabbos, you know I don't roll Jew, cause I'm a true Jew, not a voodoo Jew. I'm that never gonna get a tattoo Jew, a verifiable Jew, member of the tribal Jew. I don't read part 2 of the Bible Jew, a straight Torah Jew, down to my core Jew, with my soul shining light bright as a menorah Jew, a Maccabee Jew, totally free Jew, dancing like Miriam at the Red Sea Jew, a rhyme saying Jew, mitzvah obeying Jew, 3 times a day, every day praying Jew, wearing the keeper Jew, a thinking deeper Jew, saying Shema when I wake and go to sleep a Jew, cause I'm that wise Jew, that circumcised Jew, to filling on my arm and in between my eyes Jew. I'm that Talit Jew with tzitzit Jew, on Yom Kippur I never eat Jew. I'm that Sukkot Jew with Shavuot Jew, on Passover only matzot Jew. I'm that Shabbat Jew, chilling in spot Jew. I got that cholent that's hot out the pot Jew, a holy land Jew with clean hands Jew, always trying to do Hashem's commands Jew. I'm a yeshiva Jew, overachiever Jew, a spitting flows that'll make you a believer Jew, orthodox Jew, outside the box Jew, take a bagel but no cream cheese, a lox Jew, cause I'm a vegan Jew, not a meat eating Jew, trying to get back to the garden and eating Jew, that long hair Jew. I'm a Nazir Jew with the full beard when I look in the mirror Jew, no drinking wine Jew, one of a kind Jew, the only funeral I go to is mine Jew, till death grips me Jew. I'm that gypsy Jew, and if it's Purim, I'm a pretty tipsy Jew. I'm that mystic Jew, that Kabbalistic Jew, that strictly monotheistic Jew, a rhyme writing Jew. I'm that enlightened Jew, a sick of all the hatred and fighting Jew, a love and peace Jew in the Middle East Jew, just praying for the violence to cease Jew, cause I'm a kind Jew, higher state of mind Jew, don't want no stumbling block before the blind Jew. I'm a forgiving Jew, a still living Jew, every day celebrating Thanksgiving Jew.
Ari Lesser, let's go. Oh my God. So wait, you got a minute left on this Bad Jew challenge. I just got to ask you, when did you start rapping? No one's ever rapped their Bad Jew challenge before. That was sick.
I started rapping in high school, so it's been 20 years now. I've been rapping. Thank God.
That's awesome. Ari, you killed that. That was amazing. That might have been the best Bad Jew challenge I've heard. No offense to the previous guests on this podcast. For those who want to hear more of Ari's sick raps and everything, follow him on TikTok and Instagram at Ari B Lesser. So Ari, we have a big episode today, and you know, I'm sure the hip hop will come in and out as we continue. But by the way, before we even continue this topic, I didn't even know this about you until you said it in your rap, and I have to acknowledge it. I'm also a vegan Jew, and it makes me really happy to meet a fellow vegan Jew as I'm becoming Baal Teshuvah, and so it's a real treat to get to know you.
Very nice, very nice.
Very cool. All right. Enough nerding out. You got a subject. It's very serious, very important. Sorry, just getting my serious tone of voice here. Ari, I obviously know that Hanukkah is a Zionist holiday, but what makes it a Zionist holiday?
So, I think first we should just address something about just the word Zionism, right? Because right now I'm on social media, I'm very active, and especially on like TikTok. Zionism has become basically, it's almost like the worst slur you could use against somebody on TikTok is like, you're a Zio, you're a Zionist, right? It's literally like it's like maybe worse than Nazi. It's like Nazi and then Zionist, like that's even worse. It's really the worst slur. And it's like, how did we get here where the word Zionist has become this horrifically negative thing? And I have to explain to people all the time, like Zionism, when you come down to it, what does Zionist mean? It's believing in the indigenous rights of the Jewish people. That's really what it is. Do you think that Jewish people have the right to live in their own ancestral homeland? Yes or no? And when you frame it in that way, which is what it is, it's for the re-establishment of a Jewish state, not the establishment. Look up the dictionary definition of this word. It's the movement for the re-establishment. Re-establish means we were there already. That's called an indigenous people returning to their land. So once you get over the hang-up of this word Zionism and realize that a Zionist is just a person who supports indigenous rights for Jewish people, just like they'd support indigenous rights for Native Americans or any other ethnic group that has a deep connection to a place. Why shouldn't we celebrate Zionism? And is Hanukkah a Zionist holiday? I mean, it's clearly a holiday where we're remembering the Maccabees, who became a dynasty. It became the Hasmonean dynasty, which was an independent Jewish monarchy. Really, in some ways, it was the last independent Jewish monarchy before the Romans came and, took us into exile. So certainly, like when you're talking about reestablishment of the Jewish state, the last time that the Jewish state existed in its full glory and strength was during the Hasmonean dynasty, which is absolutely directly connected to the Hanukkah story. It's the Maccabees and their descendants who were the kings and high priests of that kingdom. So
makes a lot of sense. I was going to say that, even the word Maccabee somehow became a bad word this year. And it's because
I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't seen that one yet.
It happened after I saw this popping up after the Amsterdam pogrom that happened just about 2 months ago.
The soccer team, because of the soccer team.
The soccer team, I think it was Maccabee Tel Aviv is the name of the soccer team.
Right.
So they were out there. And so someone had the audacity on a college campus to say, yeah, they deserved it because they were called the Maccabees. It's like, what? And so the person who was interviewing this girl who had the audacity to say that said, wait a second. So Jews taking pride in an ancient warrior group of people that protected the right for Jews to exist is somehow justified to cause violence on Jews for watching a soccer game? Are you serious right now?
I mean, just think about it, because right now, one of the biggest slanders that you hear against the Jewish people in Israel is that we are colonizers, right? We're colonizers. And take the story of Hanukkah and you realize, yes, there was colonizers. It was the Greeks, right? The Greeks were coming from Greece, which is nowhere near Israel. It's on the other side of the Mediterranean. And they were coming with their Hellenism and with their armies into what was sovereign Jewish homeland. And the Maccabees are the indigenous tribesmen rising up against this vast, overpowering, army that used to be Alexander the Great's army and stopping it in its tracks. Like in that story, we're the heroes who are like fighting against the colonizers. So it's crazy how much they've managed to flip the script and like turned us into the colonizers when we know our own history. We know we are the indigenous people who fight against the colonizing Greek influences, and the Hanukkah story really is that story. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And I think something I have to point out here, the nature that you described as a fellow content creator, is that something I've seen a lot on social media is non-Jews that have the audacity to attempt to rewrite our narrative when the entire pro-Palestinian history and the narrative that they have based on is completely revisionist history. So, if they were completely revising history, how can they possibly be held credible for telling us what our history entails? And I'm constantly hearing on a regular basis all these different ideas about Judaism, claiming it's a false religion if the Mashiach doesn't come within 200 years. There's another post saying, we're essentially not just under attack physically, we're under attack historically as well. And that's a really strange war to fight as it's outnumbered people.
It's an information war, absolutely. And there's a ton of hypocrisy. I thought you were actually going to go a different direction. I thought you were going to talk about all of the, European descendants on college campuses who are pointing their finger at Israel saying, look, oh, you colonizers, when it's like, where are you standing right now? You're standing on Native American. I did a song this year about all the hypocrisy. I hit a bunch of different groups, but one of them was this group that's in America, and I'm very familiar with it. I went to University of Oregon. So it's like all these kids are at the school are like descendants of the pioneers whose grandparents literally like forced the Native Americans off of their ancestral homeland. And now here they are with the audacity to point their finger at my people saying, oh, no, you going back to your ancestral homeland. Well, that's colonization. We can't support that. It's like, are you kidding me? Are you joking? Like, don't you look in the mirror, man? Like, what is going on right now?
I mean, much of the pro-Palestinian movement, I've realized, especially this year, is projecting. It's literally projecting. And they'll probably say that we're projecting, which is ironic. But literally, we have coins that you could dig up in the land of Judea, Samaria, with ancient Hebrew on it. And I mean, the Dead Sea Scrolls were found there. I mean, how many archaeological scientific proofs do we need to have? But you mentioned a song of yours. I would love to hear it. Can you share the song that you made?
Oh, the hypocrisy song? Sure, I'll give you a few verses from it. Let's see. So the chorus of it's like, look in the news and I'm shocked to see that you're trashing the Jewish democracy while ignoring Hamas's atrocities. Man, it's all just a bunch of hypocrisy. Right. And I hit 4 different groups with it. I mean, there's the LGBTQ, right? I'm calling out the LGBTQ. It's not all of you, but it's more than a few. You know who you are. I've seen what you do. Tearing down posters of kidnapped Jews? You got me confused. Whose side are you on? Hamas and Iran want both of us gone. They execute people like us in Tehran, and yet you let yourself get used like a pawn in the whole Middle East. Only one country gives rights to the LGBTQT. If Israel fell and Hamas ran free, we would both be banned from the river to the sea. So I look in the news and I'm shocked to see that you're trashing the Jewish democracy while ignoring Hamas's atrocities. Man, it's all just a bunch of hypocrisy.
Bars.
Yeah. So then there's like the peace now activists, the ceasefire. It's like, you want a ceasefire? I want the same. But I'm sick of you acting like Israel's to blame. There was a ceasefire until Hamas came and 1,000 members of my tribe got slain. They straight up raped a bunch of Israeli ladies, kidnapped hundreds, including some babies and bubbies and Zadis in their late 80s. It's crazy. Never seen stuff this shady. Now, 3 times a day, I pray for peace. But they got to give our people back at the very least. How can you expect these hostilities to cease when there's still 100 hostages who haven't been released? So I look in the news and I'm shocked to see that you're trashing the Jewish democracy while ignoring Hamas's atrocities. Man, it's all just a bunch of hypocrisy. Then, of course, you got the Me Too movement, right? Which is,
Let's hear it.
Me Too goes, on October 7th, we got the news. Many Jewish women were sexually abused, but you got confused being forced to choose between the truth and your new political views. Because you had the watermelon flag flying, trying to defend Hamas, you start crying, I'm not buying it, those Zionists are lying. Ignoring these women till there was no denying. Now the UN has admitted it's true. Lord knows why that took them 5 months to do. I guess everyone supports hashtag Me Too until the woman who's getting raped is a Jew. So I look in the news and I'm shocked to see that you're trashing the Jewish democracy while ignoring Hamas's atrocities. Man, it's all just a bunch of hypocrisy.
Facts. Facts. So it's, I want the listeners to hear this when I say this. It's our duty to keep on being Maccabees, okay? Because what Ari's doing here is he's using his voice and his talents to fight this war in a very unique way, in a way that's catchy, in a way that's trendy, in a way that makes a lot of sense, in a way that puts into a very practical use of language our narrative in a way that we need it to be put out there, to be heard more. And I want to commend you for all you're doing. I've been following you for some time. When you right away DM'd me back and said that you were down to do a Hannukah episode, I was honestly incredibly touched. I was like, "Oh, he wants to be on my podcast." Yeah, but like I really do see you as a Maccabee, and it's
That's
like,
an honor. Thanks for receiving that way. To me, it's like I see, I was just at an event in San Diego and there's a bunch of IDF soldiers there who are like they're literally there for a few days from the front lines. And it's like, these guys have been going through it for over a year. They're the real heroes. They're really like putting literally their lives on the lives. Just hundreds of soldiers who have died. As much as everyone wants to make this look like Israel is just on some genocidal massacres, like no, like we're getting killed. Hundreds of our children are getting killed trying to rescue the hostages that were kidnapped after they killed 1,000 of our people. These guys are heroes on the front lines, and it's like, to me, I feel like the least I can do is to fight the information war. They're fighting the ground war. They're doing the work that needs to be done to try and reunite the families that were devastated by October 7th and try to bring peace back to our people. And while they're trying to do this, they're getting barraged with the most insane hatred online that the world has ever seen. It's like the least I can do is try and just spit some truth in the face of these lies that we're dealing with.
Yeah. Well said. Let's get into the Hannukah story, though. We've given a lot of our narrative from modern day and, some of the themes that we can relate to. But let's just give, before JVP decides to distort and bastardize the Hannukah story, let's go ahead and just set the record straight.
Yep.
What is the Hannukah story and what makes it Zionist?
Well, you know what? I should say this, since this year, this song is especially appropriate because this is also, as you said, another holiday falls on this date today. And I think it's ironic because really, if you look at all the Jewish holidays in history, there's many holidays where it's like our enemies tried to kill us, right? The Purim story is the ultimate, right? They tried to exterminate us. They tried to wipe us off the face of the map. And Hanukkah, it's a little different. The Greeks actually weren't trying to exterminate us. They didn't want to exterminate us. They just wanted us to become Hellenized. They wanted us to start acting like nice Greek citizens. Stop it with this silly circumcision and these still, you come eat at the non-kosher restaurant. And like they would have been totally fine if we just assimilated. So really, of all the holidays, if you had to figure out what's the essence of Hanukkah, it's the fight against assimilation. Really, that's what it is. So that's why things like Hanukkah just ain't what it used to be. Because some Jews got jealous of the Christmas tree. They spent all their money on a shopping spree, trying to be like the people they see on TV. Don't let yourself forget history. Knowledge is key to set your mind free. Just open a book, look back and see what it really meant to be a Maccabee. Over 2,000 years ago, it began when the Greeks marched on the Holy Land. They demanded the Jews lose their traditions, and those who refused were beat to submission. They conquered our country from west to east, banned every festival, fast and feast, burned non-kosher beasts on the altar. The least righteous man paid a bribe, so they made him high priest. Every scroll of the Torah they saw was burned, along with the teachers and students who learned if they found out a circumcision was done, they slaughtered the mother along with her son. Back then, we could not rest on Shabbat, and those who kept kosher were killed on the spot. making us break our diet by taking the life of those who would not eat bacon. They set up their idols in every town and told all the Jews around to bow down. Most people obeyed, trying to stay intact. But the Maccabees rose up and fought back. But Hanukkah just ain't what it used to be, cause some Jews got jealous of the Christmas tree, spent all their money on a shopping spree, trying to be like the people they see on TV. Don't let yourself forget history. Knowledge is key to set your mind free. Just open a book, look back, and see what it really meant to be a Maccabee. When they told a man named Matisyahu to bow to an idol in public view, not only did he refuse, he slew some Jew who did what they told him to do. Then he fled to the wilderness and led an army of rebels who liked what he said. They rose and stood to fight for what's good, waging guerrilla warfare in the woods. He had 5 sons named Yohanan, Shimon, Yehuda, Eleazar, Yonatan. When their father passed, they vowed to fight on until they were dead or the Greeks were gone. Like a Hebrew hammer, the Maccabees hit Hellenists so hard that their army split, made them run and hide with God on their side. They retook the temple, had it purified, only had enough oil to light that holy menorah for a single night. But then the great miracle changed their fate, and the lamps all burned for 8 days straight. But Hanukkah just ain't what it used to be, cause some Jews got jealous of the Christmas tree, spent all their money on a shopping spree, trying to be like the people they see on TV. Don't let yourself forget history. Knowledge is key to set your mind free. Just open a book, look back, and see what it really meant to be a Maccabee. You see, they risked their lives to fight assimilation, but now Hanukkah's just a cheap imitation of some other foreign nation celebration that falls on a similar calendar location. The hocus pocus made you lose focus, broke all the rules, acting like Antiochus, drinking eggnog like a hog till you get sick, making your potato pancakes from Bisquick. You light the menorah, but you don't study Torah, cause you're running like Lot after Sodom and Gomorrah. No divine presence from Walmart, so you still feel empty when you fill up your cart. If your great granddad saw that Hanukkah bush, you would get no gifts, just a patch on the tush, cause this holiday's not about buying stuff. It's to teach that a little bit is more than enough. It doesn't really matter if you're losing or winning. All you need is a dreidel to keep on spinning. So fry up a feast, bring your family near, and steer clear of the cashier this year. Cause Hanukkah just ain't what it used to be. Cause some Jews got jealous of the Christmas tree, spent all their money on a shopping spree, trying to be like the people they see on TV. Don't let yourself forget history. Knowledge is key to set your mind free. Just open a book, look back, and see what it really meant to be a Maccabee.
Damn. Ari, all I asked was a simple question. Tell us a story. You didn't just tell us a story. You wrapped us. That was great. I think there's something here that I want to point out that I'm just kind of moved by, and I'm feeling the irony based on the beginning of this episode. I'll get to that in a second. But like, being a Maccabee isn't just fighting for the Jewish people, for Israel, but also for fighting for our Jewish authenticity. And I open up the episode wearing this happy Lamaka ugly sweater, and I realize like it's kind of a simulation. Like I'm gonna take it off right now.
No, I don't care.
No, like you're right. It's goyish, you know. It's not for our people necessarily. You know, it's like I mean, like, yeah, you want to be festive. You see the holidays, but it's like there's something really beautiful about the holiday and its authenticity as well. So how do you authentically do Hanukkah then, outside of the Christmas assimilation and the other attractive things that come from similar holidays?
Sure.
other
Well, so here I'll say a few things. You know, one of them, the miracle was all about oil. So the part of the holiday that's about eating like latkes and fried oily foods, and that's like 100% authentic. And like, get down, like fry up those latkes, get some donuts. Like that is for sure how you party on Hanukkah, with the fried oily foods. Celebrate the miracle of the oil. But also, if you want to stay healthy, just pour some, just load up your salad with some fresh, extra virgin olive oil too. So the oil is what it's all about, olive oil especially. So the oil is good. I heard another beautiful thing. There was a rabbi, Chase Talbot, he gave this over, so I'll credit him. The idea that there's actually a tradition on Hanukkah of giving gelt, okay? Giving money, not chocolate gelt, actual gelt. What's the difference though? What's the big difference? I mean, isn't it this really the same thing? I mean, from the parent's perspective, still costing me the same amount of money. If I give you $40 or I give you a $40 present, what's the difference, right? So he broke it down. There's a huge difference because really when you give somebody a gift of whatever it is, a toy, it's like a consumer object that they receive and they really have no, say in what they're getting. They're just getting it and then they're using it and consuming it until they get bored of it or they use it up or whatever it is, it's kind of, that's the whole, it's a very shallow interaction, right? Mm-hmm. When you give somebody gelt, when you give a kid money, right? Give them a little bit of money. Each night you give them you don't have to give them a lot of money, but whatever it is, whatever, each family can do their own thing. Your kid shows up, you give them $1, you give them $5 for every, night that they're there. Well, now all of a sudden the money is not just a gift. It actually leads to a conversation, right? Because now you have money. Money doesn't do anything on its own. It's just potential. So you have to talk. Okay, well, now you have money, son. What are you going to do with your money? Are you going to buy a toy? You could. Now you could buy a toy that you want. Oh, you want that big toy? You're going to have to save your money. So now it leads to a conversation of saving. Oh, you want, if you want to buy that candy, just so once you eat that candy, your money's gone. Like that's the end of it. And they have to start thinking. Now, also you could do a mitzvah with your money. You could give your money to tzedakah, right? If someone gives you a toy, you can't give that to tzedakah, really. I mean, you could, but usually the person's going to appreciate, or the organization will appreciate money more than, your broken, Hot Wheels car. So really gelt, as much as it has a lot of similarities, seemingly on the surface, a lot of similarities to, just a regular present, there are also these key differences that make it, I think, a much more powerful experience, giving your kid some gelt on Hanukkah as opposed to giving them, just a toy.
So gelt is actually really meant to make you think about the best way to spend it. But where does that come from in the story of Hanukkah?
So that's above my pay grade, but I'm just telling that there is definitely a custom, going back before there was any association with Christmas or anything like that. The idea of giving money. Now I know for sure the dreidel, right? The story with the dreidel was that the Greeks were okay if the Jews are gambling, right? We're okay. Hey, we're telling you going to the casino, that's fine. We don't mind you guys going to the casino. You can have poker night, no problem. We just don't want you learning Torah. So the dreidel was a way of, subversively learning Torah. That's why it has the aleph base on it, the Greeks coming by, it looks like we're just like throwing dice and we're just gambling. They're like, that's fine. Those Jews are just gambling. Those money grubbing Jews just, maybe that's where it comes from. The gelt is from the dreidel game, that the Greeks were okay with us playing dreidel. They just didn't want us learning Torah, right?
And then the added value of, well, money is not just that thing to gamble. Let's give it to a kid and let's figure out if the kid is wise enough to either gamble it on things that are going to give a temporary, short-term high, like candy or a toy,
right?
Or will the kid fulfill a mitzvah with the money to teach that it's more than just a gambling object?
Right. Well, and especially because at Hanukkah, all the kids are getting it. So the kids, they learn from each other. The one kid who spends all his money on candy, he's done. And then he looks over and his buddy has saved up, for the last 3 Hanukkahs, is buying a PS5 now. He's like, what the heck? Why did I spend all my money on candy? I could be in such a better place if I just saved. So I think, I have 3 boys, so they learn from each other all the time. What my middle son is a saver. Anytime he gets a piece of candy, he throws it in his candy stash. The other 2 are devouring candy. So the other 2, they have no candy to their name. They've eaten it all. And he's got a massive treasure chest full of candy, and the other 2 see that. They're like, man, I guess saving has its benefits, right?
Right. Wow. You have a wise kid right there. And it sounds like you have a lovely family. And it sounds like you really taught them some really great ideas. And I guess that's another level of being a Maccabee too, is, not just keeping authenticity and protecting the Jewish religion, but also spreading it to, passing it on to your children as well. So I I think this is a fantastic. I think this is just a really fantastic episode full of lots of wisdom. I wasn't necessarily expecting to really go into. I thought it was going to just be a history lesson, talking about the connection to Israel because it's so obvious. But like, all right,
Yeah.
you really made it come full circle, and I just want to thank you for being on this podcast and making it so special for the holidays.
Of course, of course. Well, since we're talking about this subject, I'll give you one more song here before we go.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I really think that so many of these haters out there, whether they're on campus, whether they're actually like in the trenches fighting for Hamas, all these people who hate the Jewish state, who want to wipe Israel off the map, they're confused about like a fundamental point. All of them, they believe that we are some like foreign colonizers who are just here temporarily. And if they just fight hard enough, and if they just, terrorize us enough, we'll go running away back to where we came from. And that theory is fundamentally flawed because Israel is where we came from. There is nowhere for us to flee. We don't have another home. That's the big difference between Israel and any country that you want to claim is a colonizer. A colony, by definition, is a satellite of another place. Israel, there is no other Jewish place. Israel is the Jewish place. It's always been the Jewish place. Jews are indigenous to the Middle East, and all we're asking is for a little peace. Been oppressed ever since we were dispossessed, enslaved, arrested, and put to death. But we persevered, we never disappeared. We've been in Israel for thousands of years. Thank God we've been able to overcome. We're still living in the land that we come from. Well, some people say that Ashkenazi originally came from Germany, but ask a Nazi and he'll disagree, doesn't think we're part of his family tree. He's actually right about one thing at least. We're not from Europe, we're from the Middle East, but the Romans came and destroyed our home, overthrown. Some of us had to go on their own, but there were Jews who never left the land. They just got crushed by the Caesar's hand, slaughtered like sheep at home and abroad, with no other choice but to turn to God. Divided and conquered, our enemies tried to end us with the worldwide genocide, but Hitler failed, our people prevailed, and we still stand strong in Israel, because Jews are indigenous to the Middle East. And all we're asking is for a little peace. Been oppressed ever since we were dispossessed, enslaved, arrested, and put to death. But we persevered. We never disappeared. We've been in Israel for thousands of years. Thank God we've been able to overcome. We're still living in the land that we come from. Though I can handle the snow in Ohio, if I follow my roots, I know where they go. I'm Midwest born, but I'm from the Middle East, where my deceased ancestors rest in peace. In Hebron, I couldn't hold back my tears. At that grave, my forefathers felt so near. I stopped in Bethlehem, broke down and cried when I realized this is where my grandmother died. In Jerusalem, I was bawling, because all that remains of our temple is the Wailing Wall. It's been standing alone since our exile began, when many were forced to flee from the land. Some stayed, but those who wandered away prayed to return 3 times every day. And now we've been answered at last. We stand together with our clan in the Holy Land, because Jews are indigenous to the Middle East, and all we're asking is for a little peace. Been oppressed ever since we were dispossessed, enslaved, arrested, and put to death. But we persevered, never disappeared. We've been in Israel for thousands of years. Thank God we've been able to overcome. We're still living in the land that we come from.
Damn. I love it. And I feel like you added more to your Bad Jew 4-minute challenge, where you told more of your kind of your backstory there, your family story. It's beautiful. It's really touching. It was epic. It's empowering, So Ari, you're an incredible musician, incredible talent, and I want to thank you for coming on this podcast and giving us such wisdom. For those who are listening, please go on Instagram, TikTok, follow Ari at Ari B Lesser. That is at Ari B Lesser. And Ari, is there anything else you want to say before we send off for the holiday?
Hey, happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Happy Hanukkah. And to the listeners, we'll see you next Wednesday on the next episode of Bad Jew.
Shalom.